I'm Hazel, and it's Saturday today, which makes it time to sit down and catch up on the WoW news of the week, what I've been up to, and answer some of your questions. This week, we got lots and lots of new info on the upcoming patch 9.1.5. The PTR went live, we got full development notes, and we got the first build of the PTR, on top of some actual hotfixes that are already in the live game this week, so tons of news to get through. Starting with hotfixes, the Anima cap has been hotfixed from 35,000 all the way up to 200k. This is in the game already. You can stockpile all kinds of Anima, and if you're considering collecting stuff from other covenants or playing alts, then perhaps you should stockpile, because we now know that in patch 9.1.5 we are getting Anima transfer in some form, not in the PTR just yet, but Anima transfer in some form to either alts or other covenants on the same character. I would imagine, like most currency transfer, it's going to come at a loss, like it's not going to be a one-to-one trade, but anything is better than what we have now. So I at least am not going to be spending any of my extra Anima on the Anima trader in Oribos for a while, just because I want to kind of stock that up so that I can feed it to other alts once 9.1.5 comes around. I am still probably going to keep throwing out missions just to keep leveling up my dudes, because despite the fact that Shadowlands has been out for a while, I'm still working with like level 48 followers, and I promise I've been trying. Another hotfix this week, this one a big quality of life improvement for raiders. Domination socket bonuses are now on more pieces. So every piece of domination socket gear will now activate some kind of bonus, and then bonus activations have also been added to the raid legs. Note, there is no socket on raid legs, but raid legs will activate a bonus. And this, I misunderstood this at first. It doesn't mean that every piece will activate every bonus. It just means that you have more options. So there's a table here that kind of shows which pieces have which bonuses for which armor types. It's still not everything on all of them, but it's definitely a lot better than it was before. So it should be easier to make sure that you keep your bonus activated as you kind of shuffle pieces in and out. This is good news, but I don't think it's really, I don't know if anything at this point is going to make the Dom socket system feel good to me. I think I would have liked the whole thing better if I was exclusively gearing in raid and for raid, and I wasn't trying to consider other activities, but the practice of trying to like balance Dom socket shards and bonuses, well, not bonuses, but like the Dom socket shards and slots for Mythic Plus in competition with the higher item level Mythic Plus gear is just kind of exhausting, and I'm feeling a bit over it. Moving on to 9.1.5 news, we have some little bits that I missed from the info dump last week, and then now that we have the full patch notes, or at least the starter set of patch notes, we have a lot more details. So the AoE target cap changes. This is very big. Lots of people have been very frustrated with the AoE target cap for all of Shadowlands. I recall seeing daily target cap revert tweets. I'm assuming that those that person can rest now. I guess I don't know. Yeah, AoE target cap changes. So abilities that were target capped in Shadowlands are being changed so that they're not necessarily capped anymore. They're just going to deal reduced damage after 5 targets. They talk quite a bit about this in the notes. There were a couple of long paragraphs about the philosophy behind the target cap in the first place and why it is that they're making these changes and what exactly they're doing. It boils down to, it feels bad to have your AoE abilities not hit things that are in range of them, but they also still want to make sure that classes with these abilities still feel strong in their 4 to 6 enemy niche. And they want to avoid going back to the dungeon meta that we used to have of just doing mega pulls, blow cooldowns, rinse them all down, and then repeat, because that used to be the best way to do things, and it is nice when there is more to life than that. The patch notes have a huge list of all the specific abilities that are being adjusted for that in 9.1.5, but it basically just means that you should feel better in pulls against lots and lots of enemies, because you will still do more damage, even if you're doing a little less to each one individually. And then also for farming legacy content, this should be nice as well, because you're never going to have like a gigantic pull where you can only hit 5 of the things, because that was how many you were allowed to hit. As long as you can hit a lot of them a little bit, then they should still die, assuming they're weak enough. On the topic of that, we do now know that they are for sure doing legacy raid tuning in 9.1.5 as well, so fingers crossed that Legion raids start to feel a lot more doable, because I have some raid mounts to farm. Speaking of Legion Timewalking, which we found out about last week, and I talked a little bit about it, is going to include Legion Timewalking Mythic Plus, something that we knew last week, but I just completely spaced and missed, and we have more details now. So during Legion Timewalking in 9.1.5, you can get a Time-Worn Keystone to get max level Mythic Plus for the 6 Legion Timewalking dungeons, and they're going to have like their own affixes. It's not necessarily going to be the same affixes as the standard Mythic Plus rotation. The loot from that is going to be the same item level as doing Shadowlands Mythic Plus and getting loot, and it's also going to be upgradable with Valor, but you're not going to have it in the Great Vault, so it's not going to be like displacing that like Plaguefall trinket that you've been farming, for example. I do imagine like some of this loot from the Legion Timewalking dungeon seems like it might be good, and I do imagine that anything that's going to be kind of wildly powerful hopefully gets tuned down to not be BIS, because it would be a little unfortunate if your very best piece in the game is only available from Legion Timewalking and it has to drop from Legion Timewalking. And, you know, if you miss it during the event, you have to wait for that to circle back around. That would be kind of rough. So I'm assuming that none of it's going to be life-changingly good, or at least they should tune it so that that's true. But still, definitely a nice refreshing change of pace, depending on how it feels. I'm very much hoping that it feels similar in difficulty to current Mythic Plus, so it's just kind of like a nice alternative for keys on that particular week. Even though the Legion Timewalking loot will not appear in your Mythic Vault options, doing the Legion Timewalking Mythic Plus dungeons will still count for unlocking vault options. So if you did like 5 normal keys and 5 Legion ones, you are still going to get 3 Mythic Plus vault options. Also, speaking of Legion Timewalking, we now know about the new Legion Timewalking mount coming in 915. It is the Val'Sharah Hippogriff. It looks like this, and it will be available for 5,000 Time Warped badges, so you can farm those when the event comes around, or you can farm them now during Timewalking before that point, and then have your badges ready to go to buy that mount when Legion Timewalking comes around in 915. Other fun 915 stuff, legendary scrapping. In patch 9.1.5, you can scrap a legendary to get a refund on the cinders and ash that went into it. Very important to note, it does not sound like this is going to refund your base item, so you can't just kind of like rent a legendary for completely free and then swap them around, you know, like day to day. But if you had to recraft a legendary, or, you know, you made one to try it out and then it turns out it's not really your thing, or whatever the case may be, you'll be able to take your unwanted legendaries to the rune cover and get your stuff back. And then if you didn't need those soul cinders for another legendary, it is worth remembering that you can spend 1,000 soul cinders to buy a socket item. Assuming that you are exalted with Death Advance. You can do that at Bonesmith Airmere in Korthia, so that'll be kind of nice. I definitely have a couple extra pieces in my bags I could stand to get rid of, if only for the bag space. New PvP ranks, titles, and upgrade levels. This is really good news for anybody that is grinding it out on the arena ladder trying to get gear upgrades. There are more granular incremental steps, so they've added kind of like these mini ranks in between ranks that allow you to upgrade your gear. The table did make it look like each of these sort of micro ranks has its own character title, and I did log into PTR and that's not true. You're not going to be like rank 7 rival to Hazel. I'm still just rival Hazel, but the achievement names have the specific ranks on them and they will count as far as item upgrades go, so that's kind of fun. This week, we found out more details about the new travel forms coming in 915, and by details, I mean what they are. Turns out a lot of them are flight forms. I had not considered that. I did not see that coming. Yeah, there's going to be an Arden Moth flight form, a Raven flight form. There's a Dreadbat flight form, so that's kind of fun. The Gilnean Druid with a Raven flight form sounds really cool. The only ground travel form option that is new here is a Rune Stag, and then there's 2 colors in here, presumably for Alliance and Horde. I would I'm excited about this. I think it looks great, and I'm probably going to use the Rune Stag, but I would love to see more different types of animals for ground travel form. Druid has lots of animal types for other types of travel forms, you know, like the aquatic form has like dolphins and whales and that weird platypus thing, all kinds of stuff. So I'm curious as to what their logic is behind not looking into more animals for ground travel, because obviously it's something they can do. We've seen it with Nightface Soul Shapes, and I wonder if maybe they just wanted to feel distinct from Nightface Soul Shapes. But, you know, we started with the cheetah and now we have deer. Why not give us like a boar or something? I understand not doing anything that's too small, but you know, you can do like a boar or a big rabbit. Speaking of soul shapes, actually, Wowhead has data mined an entire list of the new soul shape options, including critter shapes that are coming in 915. Some of these will be critter shapes, which means they will only be usable inside of rested areas because they're too small. But 21 items on this list. Highlights for me include the alpaca soul shape, and then the chicken appeals to me greatly. I don't really have an active Night Fae character right now, so I guess I have my mage. I might take my priest Night Fae once it's not that big of a deal to switch anymore, actually, and then I can be a chicken. this is a good thing to plan out. Another 915 thing in the category of kind of like chat and groups and social stuff, you are now going to need an authenticator attached to your account in order to list custom text groups in the Dungeons, Raid, or PvP category. So this does not apply to the custom category, and you can still list auto-named groups. There's going to be a new feature to auto-populate like the name and difficulty of your key or whatever, but if you want to edit the text of your group title or the description in Dungeons, Raids, and PvP, you're going to need an authenticator in your account, and the goal of this is to cut down on advertising spam. Also, it's just a very, very, very good idea to have an authenticator on your account anyways. It's free. It's very easy to do if you have a smartphone or smart device around that you can use for that. It's good to see them making more moves to try to cut down on the advertisements in the LFG section, just because I think it can definitely be disheartening to open up LFG to try and get into a key and just see all of these groups trying to sell them to you. It might make people feel like they can't possibly do it the old-fashioned way on their own if everybody's just buying them. So that'll be good. And also related to the social stuff, they are removing the /spit emote in retail. This is something that I think they already did in Classic, but there is data mined strings or something in the latest 915 BTR build to remove the spit emotes. And I think that this change is probably going to ruffle some feathers. I imagine that some people will be unhappy. If you really want to like roleplay spit on something, you can always /E and then type whatever you want, I guess. But I think it's a good thing. I think that it's not going to cure toxicity in WoW. Nothing is. No one thing they could do would just cure toxicity in gaming, but like any small step helps. And I feel like it's the cumulative effect of many, many, many small steps that kind of improve the culture of a game over time. So I'm happy to see this. I think it's a good change. On that topic, there's also going to be improved chat reporting in 915. So you'll actually get notice if one of your reports was impacted. Like if you report somebody and then they get actioned, you'll actually get feedback on that to make it feel a little bit less like you're just shouting into the void. A recent update on the new patch PTR has new starter armor for all of the classes. So starter armor for brand new characters will no longer be separated out by race, but instead you're going to have one updated set for each class. Here's what they look like. I think these are pretty neat. It is worth noting that the old starter sets does not look like they're going to be obtainable in 915. So if you want those items for roleplay or nostalgia or whatever it may be, I would make a character and bank those items now. They're not transmoggable or anything because they're white quality, but they may not be available anymore after 915 because there's going to be this new stuff. Other updates this week, we found out there's going to be a Hearthstone promo mount coming in October. We haven't had one of those since like the Hearthsteed way back when. It's Sarge, it's this rat. That doesn't make it sound very cute, but it's very cute. You're going to get this in mid-October. What is it? October the 12th for completing the tutorial for the new Mercenaries mode in Hearthstone. Hearthstone is free to play, so that will be a free mount to get, just like the Hearthsteed was and just like the Primal Flamesaber was. So nothing to get too worried about, but that'll be fun. That's a cute mount. My week this week, my guild, finally, we killed heroic Sylvanas. Thank you very much. I know. I was there. I helped. She's gone. That's a dead boss. And I am very curious to see how much reclear we do before people kind of go back into hibernation until the next tier. I feel like the end of our progression push kind of wiped some of us. We are officially ahead of the curve, and we are probably on a one-night clear schedule from now on, which should free up some evening time for probably for keys. And then in my life this week, I have a birthday. I have my birthday. It is on Wednesday. I'm going to be turning 29 this week. So I think I might do like an extra long stream that day just to have a little extra company and have it be like a little less quiet around here because I'm not like, I'm going to do a stream. It'll be fun. So that's on the September the 8th. I'll be live. I might play a couple different games. It should be fun. And then questions from this week. Marissa wants to know, do you have any tips for someone who has never done a raid but would like to start? So I would recommend, if you're new and you're worried about it, start an LFR. And this is overkill and you definitely don't have to, but what I would do if I was starting fresh is I would not only start an LFR, but I would also watch some quick boss videos either while I was waiting in queue or like before I went in there, just to have like a basic idea of what to expect, because the thing, like a raid is just a big dungeon. It's just a big dungeon with a lot of people in it. That's it. But the thing that used to really stress me out in raids was like the anxiety of not knowing what I might do wrong. Like I didn't want to die and I didn't want to mess up a mechanic for anybody, but I didn't really know what the mechanics or the things that could kill me were. So it was kind of like this ever vigilant, stress of wondering when I'm about to ruin everybody's day. So the benefit of watching like a quick video before you go in is you get an idea of like the really important things to watch out for, even if some of them may not even be present in LFR. That'll just kind of give you an idea. And then in LFR, the standard is on the floor. You can do almost anything and be fine. And then you do LFR, and then you get to see what the mechanics look like in action, even if they're not that impactful yet. Like, it doesn't really matter as much. And then if that goes well, you can see if you can get yourself into a normal group. Something that's worth remembering, actually, if you do that, is that raids are dramatically easier in a coordinated group, which is tough to get into when you're brand new. But don't be discouraged if LFR is a little bit messy or if you guys are wiping on bosses. Things go much better when people can like talk to each other and have a plan and stuff. But the nice thing about LFR is that you can just kind of jump in, you can be anonymous, you don't have to talk, you can just kind of like get a feel for what the fight looks like in person without it being a big high pressure thing. And Wow Lily wants to know, what's going to be your next hair color, assuming you're going to change it? Love your videos. My plan for now is to kind of grow it back natural for a while. I am going to get probably the ends touched up again, but I'm trying not to re-lighten or lighten anything that's been grown out. I'm trying to like embrace my grays for the moment. I may change it again at some point in the future, but I'm ready for a lower maintenance hair phase in my life, assuming that I can continue to find ways to style it that make me feel like a human being. I do kind of like having the little bit of variety in it as it grows out though, so maybe I'll be one of those people that just gets it highlighted sometimes. I don't know how that works. I'll have to ask. And then Ocean Hearts wants to know, do you still plan on doing cooking streams, especially with the new WoW cookbook release? I always love those very much. This is something that comes up relatively often. When I discontinued baking streams, the plan was to discontinue them pretty much indefinitely. I stopped doing them because there was like a lot of equipment required, there was a lot of overhead, there was a lot of setup and teardown because I was basically setting up a second streaming setup in my kitchen just for like 2 hours. I could see a world down the road where if I had like a more lightweight setup with just like a laptop or a phone or something that was lower quality but also like way easier to just kind of like plop down and be streaming, then I could see doing like more flexible streams like around the house, of like baking or like nail art or whatever it is. Would be kind of fun, but I'm not set up for that right now, and it's not like immediately on my to-do list. And honestly, my to-do list has been kind of like hard stalled for like 3 months now, so I'm doing fine. That has been my week. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have any questions you would like me to answer in a news video, please leave them in the comments and include the word question to help me find it. Stop by stream sometime if you like, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.